Hi friends, I have a ton of stuff in my stash and I really want to either use it or lose it. So I'm trying to use it, and one of those things in my stash was shrinky dinks, or the shrinky dink paper, I guess. So I went ahead, as you can see here, I printed out some of my Princess digital kit onto the shrinky dink paper. Now you can get white paper, or you can get, and it's not paper, I guess it's plastic, or you can get clear. If you get the white, you can print it on your inkjet printer and it'll work perfectly fine. And you can see here that that's what I did. Now, it says it shrinks down 50%, but I have to tell you, I think it's more than that, so just so you know. Also, the colors become very, very concentrated. And I knew that going in, and I still chose to use images that are very sort of rich in color, knowing that it would make them even darker. And I just felt like that was okay. I wanted to experiment with it. I wanted to do it, and I want to use some of this up. So I thought what I would do with some of these images was to use them on tassels as little embellishment pieces, or as like charms in the journal, or some of them I'm not going to put holes in. So some of these you'll see that I'm going to use my hole punch, and I'm going to put holes in them so I can hang them from either a bulb pin or an O-ring or something like that. But the ones that I don't put holes in, I'm going to end up just gluing right into the journal. I haven't done this in so long that honestly I pretty much forget how they turn out and all that kind of stuff. So some of these I'm going to do a very tight fussy cut, and then some I'm going to leave a little bit around the edge. It did say that we could use permanent marker on this and it'll stay. So I'm going to go ahead and, like on some of the ones that it just takes too long to get close to, I'm going to go ahead and just use my marker right on the edge, and we'll see if that works. The instructions did say to put some parchment paper down on your cookie sheet, and then of course lay them on the cookie sheet. So you can see I have my pan here. Now this pan, I know it looks dirty, but this is the pan that belongs in my craft room. So I dye all of my papers in this pan, but I thought it would be okay to go ahead and bake the shrinky dinks in there as well. The package said to put the oven on either 300 or 325. I have a convection oven, so I started at 300 because my oven definitely runs warmer than cooler, but then I ended up putting it on 325 because the 300 it wasn't warm enough. So I'm showing you here in fast motion how it's working, and I didn't like the way that it worked on 300, like I said. So I switched it to 325, and I liked that a lot more. I apologize for the camera movement. I used my large camera, and I didn't feel like setting it up on the stand just to bring it into the kitchen and show these to you. So anyway, it is what it is. But here they are. They are shrunk down, and you can see they are quite small now. I have my next pan ready to go, showing you in fast motion. There they are. They're shrinking up, and they sort of flip and flap all over the place, but then they end up straightening out, which is nice. I did take a spatula and press them down a little bit while they were still warm, and they got pretty flat, which was great. I think they're about a quarter of the size of the original, when you cut them out, as opposed to half, which is fine. That makes it perfect to use as charms on a tassel, or even hanging from a bulb pin inside of a journal. So I'm taking the edges and I am going around them with a coordinating color with a permanent marker. The edges are a very, very bright white, and I think I'd prefer to have a little bit of color. Plus, remember I told you that I was going to do some of them in a little bit of a loose, fussy cut? I thought maybe they would shrink down and you wouldn't see the white, but you do. So I'm going around the edges to cover that as well. I've also decided to experiment with my ink pad to see if that gets on there and goes around the edges, and it does. It works perfectly fine. I think that it's easier to get there's this like a small groove. It's kind of interesting. There's a small groove and it's a little bit easier to get in there with the marker, but you know, if you don't have markers and you have ink pads, that will work as well. If you look on my desk, you can see that the ones that were cut into the tag shape, of course they're much smaller now, and the color is much more concentrated, and they definitely are darker. It's difficult to see the images on camera, but you can make them out in person. And something I need to address is the backs are bright white. So you can print on both sides of the shrinky dink, and I should have done that. But I didn't, so I've got this plain white back. But that's okay, because today we're going to go ahead and experiment, and we're going to do something to jazz up the back of each of these. The only ones I won't put something on the back of is if it does not have a hole in it, and it won't be used as a charm or a dangle of some type. I mentioned earlier that some of them will simply get adhered into a journal. So if they're going to get adhered down, I don't need to turn them into, or I don't need to do anything special with the back. So a few weeks ago, I did a live with my friend Bibi of Bibi's Closet Creations, and we made clusters. And I made a ton of clusters, as did she. And I'm going to use some of those clusters on the back of some of these shrinky dinks. I am going around the edges of this cluster. This would be the back. And I'm going around the edge with green because I'm going to put the green shrinky dink on this one. I'm sorry, not the green shrinky dink, but the frog shrinky dink. So I figured if I went around the edges with green, that would just give it a little something extra so it wasn't super plain. And I'm going to be using my hot glue to adhere this onto the back of the cluster. I'm going to show you all of the completed ones shortly, but before I get to that, I want to show you that I'm just using a pokey tool to put a hole in the fabric or the paper, whatever I decided to use on the back. And then I'm popping a bulb pin on there. I can always switch this out with an O-ring or something like that if I switch gears, but for now I'm going to go ahead and just use bulb pins. I have added a bulb pin to each one of these, so I'm going to show you the front, which is the shrinky dink side, and then I'll show you the back, which is either the cluster side or just a side that has either lace or fabric or something like that on it. Thanks so much for checking out my shrinky dinks. Once again, I feel really good about using some stuff that I've had in my stash for a really long time. It's just taking up space, but now I can use these in the things I'm making, and that is a great feeling. Thanks for watching. See you soon.